So, Bernice, I also recall that you had done some art of living courses in prisons. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. I could do that. Those courses need quite a bit of time and energy to run. Like they're longer than a normal happiness program. It's more spread out. There were more, it's more traveling and more trips. So I could do that when I was running the Art of Living yoga studio at Abbotsford. Like I had time to also do the prison stuff. So it happened during that period. And oh my God, I had a very profound experience there because, well, first of all, it's definitely the most stressful environment that I've ever been in. Like, it's very intense to have people locked up and lots of people locked up together and people locking the people up and bars and alarms and it's like full on. And the people running the place seemed quite intense. Like it was a really stressful environment. I used to have anxiety dreams about that I'd accidentally bought a phone in or something. Like I'd wake up in the night going, having dreamt that I bought my phone in because it's such a known, like it's maximum security prison. Anyway,
Wow.
so yeah,
Right.
we taught several courses and I just, one of the memories that really stands out is when I went in for a follow up, and there were these two very young men. Like they were definitely in their early 20s. They were in men's maximum security prison. They must have been terrified, you know, so young, so vulnerable. And here they had landed themselves in prison somehow. And they had learnt the Kriya, and I went in for a follow up, and we just, went through the breathing practices, and I watched them go into deep meditation in the most stressful environment that I could ever imagine. And that was so profound for me because I knew Kriya worked for me and I love it. And, but seeing it work for absolute novices with very little training, they just had the course in the most stressful environment. I was like, wow, this is something. This is really something. And because, it goes back to that feeling of usefulness. If you've got good tools, you can be more useful. And and Yar's like, this is an incredible tool, phenomenal tool. And actually I had a similar experience when I was so lucky to be involved in the Vietnam Veterans Research Project around 2005, 2006 in Queensland. I was traveling up there to run Kriya and follow ups for those guys who, at that time, had been suffering post traumatic stress disorder since the Vietnam War. And, like, terrible, so terrible, such a long period of time to not be able to rest properly, sleep properly, digest properly, be with their families, be with the people they love, like fully present. And so those would have been the most, the people who I've worked with who had, I guess, as a group, the most long term and most severe trauma. And to see the practices work so beautifully for them, like they got such great results. They were feeling so full of gratitude and they would express so openly like, oh, thank you so much, I was able to have breakfast with my wife. I remember someone saying that one day and I was like, oh wow, incredible, after 30 years or something, to finally be able to be in the moment. So that was again another realization for how powerful this stuff is. And it, all of that just galvanized my commitment to teach, and what a good thing it is to share.
Wow, that's precious. What kind of memories do you have of your time, either teaching or even, being a participant in Art of Living, maybe your time in India. When was the first time you met Sri Ravi Shankar?
Meeting Gurudev was absolutely profound for me. Like, and every single time I've been in his presence has just been transformative, enlightening, like awe-inspiring. The very first little conversation that I had with him was when I went for teachers training phase one in 2001. It was around the time of Diwali. And I mean, first of all, just laying eyes on him, something happened. Like something, I
Wow.
don't know what, but something happened. And then that was during teachers training. At the end of teachers training, we was sat in his kutir, the old Shakti kutir in the old ashram, and like all the Australian,
Wow.
New Zealand people come in who was on teachers training and sit down, and he just like he does, ask everyone, how are you, how are you, how are you? And I remember saying, this is heaven. Like I really loved the ashram, and I really loved the experience. And yeah, he just impressed me how attentive he was and how loving and wise. Mm. And then I actually was in India at that time to do some training in another ashram. I had already done a year's training, teachers training and yoga therapy training with another group. And the ashram was really close to the Art of Living ashram. And I had a 2 week gap before I went to do what I was meant to do, which was finish my yoga therapy course. And and I met Gurudev before I had to go to the other ashram, and then I went to the other ashram, and I just missed Gurudev the whole time. And I just
You knew where
wanted
your heart
to,
was.
yeah. And up until that moment, I'd enjoyed all the study that I was doing, and I'd really respected all my teachers and admired them. But but nothing had ever made me feel like, oh, I just want to be there. I just want to be there with him. I just want to do that thing. And so it's interesting that going away to the other ashram and being in the other ashram, which was fine for me before, it changed after I met Gurudev. I was like, oh, I think I just want to be in that vibe. I want to do that thing. So that galvanized me for Art of Living.
Were you there for the inauguration of Vishalakshi Mantap?
Yeah, was that in
The
2003?
No, that was 2001 actually. I remember having done my first course, and in Canada he was like, "Oh, we just inaugurated the Vishalakshi Mantap."
Yeah, 2001 and
Uh-huh.
2003 and 2004 and 2005 and 2006 and 2007. I started doing Shri Shri Yoga in 2004. That was when I discovered Shri Shri Yoga. So first it was like Art of Living teachers
Yes.
training phase one and phase two, and then it was Shri Shri Yoga teachers training phase one and phase two. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. With Krishanji
Yeah.
all those years back. Um, so you mentioned that, through all of the not all, but through life's challenges, you have said that the practice has always been there, as a friend and as a comfort, you know. Would you like to share some time where you have had, like a mountain to climb, like a challenging time, and how the practice then, um, yeah, turned things around for you?
Yeah, well, in my life, my focus very much has always been on kind of relationships in terms of like where my energy naturally goes. And I feel like yoga is a relationship, and you know, with the knowledge is a relationship, and life is like this one big relationship with living. And one of the biggest relationships in my life is with my mum. And so I really had a strong feeling like I wanted to spend time with her when she was going through her tough times. She had some really tough times. Actually, it's interesting. When Gurudev came to Australia in 2004, she was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a kind of a bone cancer, and I was really worried about her. But I just kind of put it on the back burner while we were organizing for Gurudev's tour in Australia. And I remember having a moment when I was alone with him. I don't know how it happened, but all of a sudden everyone else just disappeared and I was alone in a room with him. And I didn't even know that I had so much anxiety and fear in me for like I didn't want my mum to suffer. And I just said, Gurudev, my mom, like I couldn't even make a proper sentence, but I kind of like just shared this pain, and I kind of managed to get out that I think she had a cancer diagnosis, and and Gurudev just looked at me in that moment and shared so much compassion. It was a life-changing moment, and the compassion was for me. Like here I was thinking about my mom and worrying about my mom. What he could see is here is a person who's suffering, and he gave me compassion. And he just said, everyone has their own, and it felt like an unfinished sentence, but it felt with that combined with the compassion was a very complete experience. Like it just answered all my questions and kind of washed away a lot of fear and doubt. And it's so interesting that after that, my mum had almost no impact from the cancer for about another 14 years, which was unheard of at that time. Like everything that we looked up online was like after you get that diagnosis, within about 4 years, it's over. And it wasn't until about 2017 that she actually started to suffer from the cancer. And that was a really tough time for me and for our family. And I would work 4 days a week, and then I would catch a train and go and be with her wherever she was. If she was in Melbourne in hospital, that was fine. It was easy. If she was in Warrnambool, I would go to Warrnambool and I would stay just next to the hospital and kind of navigate the hospital system with her. Or even if she was at home with my dad, I would go there. And that was incredibly stressful period. And every day I would just have to find 20 minutes or half an hour, even if I was in the hospital room or wherever I was staying. And those moments of being with my breath and just letting all the stress wash off, let me be so fresh for like whatever dramas and difficulties would come up in the next 24 hours. So it just kept me fresh and it kept me present and it enabled me to be with my mum with my heart and mind fully present and be with my other family members. So it was, yeah, I'll never forget like how much of a gift that was at that time. But even on a day-to-day basis, whenever there's for example, COVID was a crazy time where there was a lot of anxiety and fear and illness and stuff going on. And actually my mum ended up passing away at that time. And again, Kriya and meditation was there every day. And that felt like such a rejuvenating time for me rather than a confusing, upsetting time. It was just a time to do savor and rejuvenate. So the practice transforms the difficulties from things that bog me down to an experience that is freeing and uplifting.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Bernice. Certainly, everybody has some form of challenge in their life, but when you think of something that can pull you out of it, that's so precious.
I don't mind when I something's really getting to me and I just really sit
Yes.
down and I challenge the practice. I'm like, okay, let's see what you've got now. And every single time, yeah, it just washes away the stress. Like, technique, what can you
Yeah.
do right now for me? And it just works every time. It's
Right.
infallible. It has never failed, and it never fails. And like, I can't think of
Yeah.
anything else in my life that never fails. Technology fails, jobs come and go, everybody, like, is born and dies and gets sick, but the practice never fails.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. It reminds me of what you said, that Swamini Saji had said, trusting life. And it's as though the practice is life itself. It's beautiful.
The practice is what tethers me, keeps me tethered.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 right. It is a wonder to think where we would be actually without the breath and the meditation. I mean, without breath, we wouldn't be here. But without the breath work,
Yeah, but it's also
interesting.
a whole package. Like, it's funny that, I mean, because we have these different levels that we exist on, physical, mental, emotional. And it really is a
Mm.
complete system. There's the breathing practice, there's the meditation practice, there's some yoga practice, there's knowledge, there's singing, there's community, and there's service. And all of these things, it's such a powerful, they're all made more powerful by each other. Like, and if you leave something out, I think then there's definitely a gap in the system. It has, like, it's a full system. Mm.
Actually, I would say it's even a science.
For sure.
And what are some of the rituals that you do? You mentioned you do have some rituals, that you do daily. What are the ones that are really, close to your heart and that are important to you?
Well, Kriya and meditation is there. And this Sunday Vandanam,
Mm.
which I started practicing, I don't know, 18 months ago maybe. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I
Hmm.
love it. It's beautiful. Do you mean I don't know if I really have any other rituals aside from my practice. And then of course, there's the usual in throughout the year there'll be times like there's Navaratri. I really love going to Navaratri. And then of course there's family rituals, family time like Easter and Christmas and maybe Melbourne Cup. It's nice to be with the family. Mhm.
If you go back to your, I don't know, like 10-year-old self, where would you have thought you would have like ended up, or would you have imagined that you would be doing what you are doing now?
Yeah, my 10-year-old self did not know anything about yoga, meditation. Like, I didn't know. Like, the whole world was a mystery. Like, really. I, all I knew was this little town that I grew up in and my family, really. And, yeah, so like, I would never have imagined that I could have such a beautiful pathway of self connection. But also at that time, I don't think I needed one at that moment in my life. It wasn't until I became an adult in my 20s when I started to really be in the world that I needed the tools to connect with myself. Because up until then, when I was a kid, I was connected. So it's funny. Um, yeah. I couldn't have imagined. And, I'm really grateful that someone who can grow up in country Victoria, like that I could have access to this knowledge, which is really ancient, and these practices that are so powerful. Like I do feel really blessed and really lucky that those teachers who came to Australia and started teaching people and letting people know, and that my teacher let me know, you know, it's a beautiful system how it it's available. Like it's made available by people, for people throughout time and over the space of this globe. That's that's pretty incredible. And that again just reinforces for me that it's important to share it,
Mm. Mm.
because somewhere there's a little
Um,
Bernice in a little town who's waiting to for someone to give them a little technique to make them feel okay eventually, you know?
I often think about that too, the journey and what, actually brought us to this path. It very much seems, like a constructed journey to get to one point. You mentioned that you ran the Abbotsford Centre, the Art of
Oh,
Living
yoga part.
centre that we had there.
I ran the yoga part of
Uh-huh.
it. Yeah. I mean, it was a big team of
Yeah.
people running the center. I just mainly took care of the yoga scheduling and the yoga classes
What was
aspect.
that like for you?
That was awesome.
Mm,
That was really
mm.
fun because I didn't have to do another job. I could just exclusively
Yeah.
teach yoga every day, and it was lovely. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
The big, beautiful thing for me about the knowledge and the practice is that when when I felt that there was a lack, when I was observing that my mind wasn't stable, my energy level wasn't stable, that I felt there was a disconnect and a struggle. Really, the piece of the picture that I think was missing was knowing the biggest level of myself and of consciousness. And I think that's the true gift of the knowledge, of the practice, of the organization, of Guru Dev, is that the smallness in me isn't me. That's temporary. Like that's my body and my mind and my emotions. And having this ability to connect with the magnanimity and the bigness, and to just to know that that bigness exists and that I'm in it, I'm a part of it, like that's really the crux of it for me. Like, and that's the biggest gift, I think. And the thing that I love the most is coming back to that awareness and having tools that can bring me to that awareness, and having other people that I'm surrounded by who know that and are living that. It's wow. For me, it's total wow. A teacher that can convey that is really something. Like, not just hint
Yeah.
at it, but give a direct experience.
Mm.
Like, that's the really lucky thing.